I became a puppet emperor, deceived by Han Xin. I knew perfectly well that the rebel Cao coveted my throne and my women, yet I treated him like a bosom friend, bearing my heart to him. Not only did I voluntarily expose the ministers who tried to lure me into overthrowing him, I even shared with him the Empress Dowager's unspeakable quirks. All took me for a pathetic coward clinging to life. Little did they know, all I needed was to have the famous figures of the three kingdoms acknowledge me as their friend, and I would gain their skills. The closer our friendship, the higher the level of skill I could obtain. But when I eagerly set out to make friends and enhance my abilities, I realized those who could be called my friends were such people: Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Empress Fu, noble consort Dong. In terms of abilities, one more inept than the other, with only 5 chances per month to make friends. I had to use them judiciously. Having just arrived in this time, I found Cao Cao had already vanquished Liu Bei. After returning to Zukong, the peerless Zhao Zilong would appear. Suddenly, I realized Cao Cao had brought back a very important person this time. He would surely wish to be my friend. The next day at court, I indeed spotted this man's presence. Cao Cao then addressed me loudly, "Your Majesty. In this campaign against Liu Bei, there is one man of great merit. Your Majesty should reward his service to demonstrate the imperial grace." I knew Cao's designs fully. The old rascal merely wanted to give Liu Bei an empty title, keeping this hero under his control in Zukong, never letting him slip from his grasp. But as a fellow maverick, who sought to sway the world's destiny in this era of chaos, Liu Bei surely possessed formidable skills and a lofty destiny. If so, let Liu Bei enter the court. He had been waiting outside all this while. Liu Bei stepped into the hall, respectfully performing the great obeisance, saying, "Your humble subject, Liu Zhu of Zhongshan, Prince of Jinzhou, filially greets the Emperor, his descendant. Liu Bei pays respects to your Majesty. May the Emperor live 10,000 years. Hearing Liu Bei's string of lofty titles, I was dumbstruck. Did we ask what beast you are? And you give us this rigmarole? Rise, beloved subject. After Liu Bei rose, his expression utterly composed. I could not but admire his brazen cheek. Turns out the Qing youth is a Han clansman, minister of the clan. Where are you? A clerk hastened to explain. Liu Bei is generally regarded as the son of Liu Hong. Liu Bei's lineage can indeed be verified. He is a Han clansman. But in my view, his bloodline was too distant. Yet this did not prevent me from courting him. I smiled at the ministers, saying, "So the Xuandi is our imperial nephew. To have such talent among the clan is a great blessing." The Han surnames only began to spread after the Xia dynasty, lingering for a mere moment. Between your Majesty and this minister, let us share the affection of an uncle and nephew. This humble minister obeys your command regarding my decision. Even Cao Cao does not interfere. For now, he has not truly broken ties with me. As long as I do not go too far, Cao Cao will permit it. In my previous life, Cao Cao and I were utterly estranged after the failed Yi Dai decree. When the cavalry's assassination of Cao Cao failed, after the ministers withdrew from court, Cao Cao left a few trusted men to watch me. I then led Liu Bei into a side hall. Dismissing the attendants, I studied Liu Bei carefully. Liu Bei had a face as pure as jade, with white teeth and ruby lips. Indeed, he bore the countenance of a noble man. Seeing we were alone, Liu Bei immediately knelt down. Your Majesty has suffered greatly. That traitor Cao defies your rule. In court, your Majesty cannot make any decisions. I have witnessed everything with my own eyes. Now that I can see your Majesty, Liu Bei vows sincerely to dedicate his life to serving your Majesty, restoring the Han dynasty. As Liu Bei spoke, tears welled in his eyes. I could not help but be moved. Among the 3 heroes of the era, Liu Bei may be the only one loyal to the Han house. With such a man, how could I not believe him? So I appointed him as the Left General, Marquis of Yicheng. I hope my imperial nephew will not fail me. Thank you immensely, your Majesty. Liu Bei exclaimed fervently, I will not betray you. I will gladly die for your Majesty. Seeing the solemn atmosphere, I asked Liu Bei, imperial nephew, would you be willing to be my friend? Liu Bei was flustered. I dare not presume, sire. I did not ask if you dared. But if you are willing, are you willing? Liu Bei raised his head. With utmost sincerity, he replied, I am willing, your majesty. It would be my honor. Your grace is boundless. I have no desire to rule. From this day forth, your majesty is my brother in life and death. Congratulations, host, on gaining your first friend, Liu Bei. Liu Bei is now on friendly terms with the host, more than just acquaintances. Host, would you like to extract a reward from your friend Liu Bei? Hearing the system's suggestion, I did not feel joyful about gaining a reward. Rather, I was perplexed. Did Liu Bei not just declare us brothers in life and death? Yet according to the system, our friendship level is barely above strangers. A negligible increase. I really wanted to ask Liu Bei, is this how you pledge loyalty to me? I scrutinized Liu Bei carefully. He still wore a sincere expression, as if he would gladly die for me, were it not for the system's existence. I might have been deceived by Liu Bei, but then again, if Liu Bei were truly loyal and honest, how could he have escaped Shuzhou alive? How could anyone survive and escape from Zukong? His acting is truly worthy of an Academy Award. At this point, I no longer harbor great hopes for Liu Bei, but I must still claim the rewards due to me. Congratulations, my friend, you have obtained the purple extraction skill. The purple extraction skill. Liu Bei is a master of deception, skilled in stratagem, exceedingly adept at feigning humility. When activating the obfuscation skill, he can reduce others' hostility towards himself by 50%. When conversing, his words become 50% more credible. Others' wariness towards him decreases by 50%. After the system's explanation, I truly grasped the power of this skill. It is a godly acting technique, the exclusive skill of a master deceiver. No wonder Liu Bei can repeatedly turn danger into safety. Wherever he runs, he can charm. All due to this formidable skill. In my view, acquiring this skill is even more useful than learning Liu Bei's swordsmanship. For even if I learn the sword arts, I cannot simply take up arms against the Cao clan. That would be mere suicide. But mastering the extraction art would greatly enhance my survival chances. Watching Liu Bei perform so diligently before me, I scoffed inwardly. Who isn't an actor now? Just because you can act obsequiously, does that mean I cannot? I immediately put the divine skill I just acquired into practice. I grasped Liu Bei's hand tightly, 2 lines of tears flowing down. With my Imperial uncle's assistance, the Han dynasty can be revived. From this day forth, you shall be my sole confidant, uncle. I entreat you not to fail me, and to help me rally loyalists for the cause of the Han. Seeing my fervent state, Liu Bei inwardly fumed. Your Majesty's sincerity is indeed moving. But trapped in Zukong, firmly under Cao Cao's control, no matter your imperial ambition, you can achieve nothing in the end. If your Majesty truly held supreme power, I would gladly serve as your minister, but you cannot even ensure your own safety now. I cannot risk my life on a whim. I must preserve my usefulness. My lord, you would do better to remain confined in the palace. As for rallying loyalists, I shall do so myself. When I have unified the realm, I shall certainly treat you well. If you meet an untimely demise, I will ensure a lavish burial and posthumous honors. Liu Bei responded with seeming sincerity. Rest assured, your Majesty, I would never betray you. Between Liu Bei and I, this uncle and nephew, we outwardly feigned deep affection, while inwardly harboring ulterior motives. After our long discussion, Liu Bei took his leave. The spy Cao Cao left in the palace, hurriedly went to inform him of what transpired. At this time, Cao Cao was conferring with his strategists at the Xingqiang residence. Upon learning of the events in the palace, advisor Sun Yu said to Cao Cao that the emperor will recognize him today. Liu Bei is the emperor's uncle. With Liu Bei's overbearing manner, this will surely not bode well for you, my lord. Yet Cao Cao paid Liu Bei little heed. His Majesty in his benevolence has promoted Liu Bei's rank. With no ulterior motive, if Liu Bei accepts being the imperial uncle, he must naturally obey the emperor's commands. This will only make it easier for me to control him, no matter how heroic this man may be. As long as he remains here, he cannot stir up any storms in Zukong. There is no need to worry. The one to worry about, however, is Yang Ziu. That regent has deep roots in the court. If he joins forces with those two, then it would be cause for concern. The strategist Cheng Yu frowned and said to Cao Cao, then you could accuse Yang Ziu of colluding with the other two in a plot to rebel and have him arrested and punished. Cao Cao responded coldly, the one who knows my heart is indeed a person I value. Leave this matter to Director Dong Zhao to handle. Let the inspectors try the case. Seeing Cao Cao accept his suggestion, Cheng Yu was overjoyed. He continued to advise Cao Cao, now that you have eliminated Liu Bei and become the true hegemon of the Central Plains, why not seize this chance to assert your dominance as a king? Cheng Yu's proposition stirred Cao Cao's ambition. He was no longer the hot-blooded youth who once dreamed only of serving his nation by slaying the wicked. As his territory and strength grew, so did his ambition swell. After pondering for a moment, Cao Cao shook his head. There are still many prominent figures in the court. Loyal servants of the Han dynasty, I should first test the waters by having the emperor go on a hunt to gauge the sentiments of the court before making my decision. Not long after Liu Bei left, Emperor Xian came rushing in excitedly, asking me, how was Liu Zhuandi? I heard you recognized him, the imperial uncle, and made him general of the left. Can I go and conspire with him now? I feared he would get himself killed, so I cautioned him. Cao Cao has deep roots that one man like Liu Bei cannot uproot. Fu Wen nodded, your majesty speaks true wisdom. We should work with the ministers to settle this rebellion. I have seen through Cao Cao's schemes. Fu Wen was definitely a hardliner of the Han Restoration faction. Unfortunately, he failed more than he succeeded. Not enough to be entrusted with an important task. Well, I might as well take some benefits from him first. The novice rewards have been used up. I wouldn't mind a few more friends. Fu Wen, would you like to be my friend? Fu Wen laughed, your majesty is the son of heaven. How could we be friends? Why not? I have read the histories. Back in the spring and autumn period, Duke Quan of Qi was friends with Guanzhong. Their friendship was renowned, and Qi became the foremost power. Are you unwilling to be my Guanzhong? Hearing me liken him to Guanzhong, Fu Wen flushed red with excitement. I am willing, your majesty. You can count on me to assist your great endeavor. Forget it. Let me first fleece this friend a bit. I've already used the newcomer reward. I don't mind having a couple more friends. Would you like to be this emperor's friend? Fuquan is the son of heaven, the lord of all that is tilled and sown. How could he befriend a mere subject? Why not? This emperor has studied history as early as the spring and autumn period. Duke Quan of Qi was friends with Guanzhong, creating a tale of a ruler knowing his minister. Qi's national strength soared because of it, becoming the foremost of the 5 hegemons. Does the chancellor not wish to be this emperor's Guanzhong? Hearing me liken him to Guanzhong, Fuquan's entire being was as if injected with chicken's blood. His face flushed red. Your subject is willing to be your friend, your majesty. Rest assured, your majesty, with this subject by your side, you shall achieve great feats. Friend added successfully. Congratulations, you have successfully added Fuquan as a friend. Fuquan and you are now as close as peony and willow. An intimate friendship like poisonous plants. You may extract for rewards from your friend Fuquan. Would you like to start extracting rewards? Playing this live service game is quite different. Indeed, he is trustworthy enough. Agreed, far more loyal than even Liu Zhuan's famed friendship of 10,000 men. Extracting reward for you. Congratulations, you obtained a white resource. Top 50,000 receive a white resource. Top 70,000 receive a black fate. A dark brown mark. You obtained a green fate, the imperial scepter of the current dynasty. The slaughter value has been converted to 1,200 taels and stored in the system space. The dark brown mark, the black fate. Your path will be full of obstacles, ill-fated and unlucky. Luck reduced by 50%. When scheming against enemies, 80% chance of being seen through. 50% chance of instant death when in peril. The system is quite human, it seems. Storing the gold in the system space makes it far safer for me. But what devilry is this black fate? I ended up obtaining it as a reward? Are you sure this isn't a death trap? Now I understand why Fukuan is such a terrible teammate with such a skill. Whoever teams up with him is doomed. System, can I decline this reward? The reward was extracted by you. You have the right to decline it. Then good, I can finally breathe easy. One with this fate has a higher chance of marrying his daughter to the emperor, and she will be favored in the harem. The bearer's base friendship with the emperor increases by 20 points. 20% greater chance of being valued by the emperor. I knew Fukuan had nothing good. This green fate may be decent for an ordinary person, but for me, it's rubbish. Let's delete that too. At least I gained some surprises from Fukuan. However, since he possesses the dark brow mark skill, it would be very difficult for him to keep himself safe. Along with an elegant scholar around 40 years old, they attacked. The defeated general was none other than Zhang Yao, a chancellor of the empire, which greatly pleased Cao Cao. So when we caught sight of Zhang Yao, I immediately activated my newly acquired escape skill. With sincere and passionate tones, I said to Zhang Yao, Minister Zhang, how good to see you. It's been 10 days since you last entered the palace. I have missed you dearly. Zhang Yao was quite unnerved by my burning gaze. He had often come before to relay messages from Cao Cao, but every time he came, my reaction was rather indifferent. There was even a hint of resentment in my eyes from time to time. Today, my attitude had changed so drastically. He tried in vain to discern my inner thoughts from the expression on my face, but my face was one of pure sincerity, without the slightest flaw. Perhaps His Majesty has had a change of heart, he thought. Regarding the current state of the court, I can only be helpless, Your Majesty. To be fair, Zhang Yao and I bore no real grudge. Years ago, when I was threatened by Guokui, it was Zhang Yao who stood up for me, contacting the Chancellor and rallying the censor Li Qiu, General Yang Feng and others to kill Li Qiu. It was his loyal actions that enabled my return at the time. His conduct was indeed worthy of a loyal minister of the Han. Only, after my return to the east, the court was controlled by Cao Cao. I became a mere puppet once more. While Zhang Yao was favored by Cao Cao, rising steadily through the ranks, from censor to chancellor and grand minister, a loyal minister. But our relationship as lord and subject was no longer as it once was. This time, there was an estrangement between us. Your Majesty, I come at the regent's command to invite you to go on a hunt beyond the city. In these turbulent times, Your Majesty must demonstrate the courage of the Son of Heaven to the people. Only then can you win their allegiance. As for Cao Cao's true intentions, I understood them clearly. The hunt was just an excuse. The traitor Cao simply wanted to use this chance to gauge the court officials' reactions and take the opportunity to eliminate his opponents. Such conduct was no different from Dong Zhuo's deceitful ways back then. But as a mere puppet, I had to accept my role. I nodded and said, I understand, I shall prepare well. Thank the regent for me, Chancellor. With his goal achieved, Zhang Yao bid his farewell, but I suddenly spoke up. Chancellor, would you be my friend? Zhang Yao was taken aback. Your Majesty, what is this about? Are you trying to win me over against the regent? I cannot do such a thing. I am, after all, a minister of the Han dynasty. If Cao Cao were to find out that you and I were friends, I learned that I was friends with His Majesty, then he would be in danger. Your subject dares not act rashly. Your subject requests to withdraw from the central court and swiftly left the great hall. I could not help but shake my head. It seems that not all the great ministers in the court are willing to be friends with me. The matter of adding friends is a long and arduous road, but from Zhang Yao's performance, it seems he still respects me. This person can be put on the list of those worth recruiting. A few days later, I went hunting, leaving the Empress Fushuo behind. I personally put on my precious armor. The eunuch Zhang Qian led a horse to me. The envoy would arrive soon. Please mount your horse. My war horse is also a rare steed in this world, named the White Jade Dragon Colt. This horse is pure white, I mounted the horse and loudly announced my departure. Jiang Qian shouted loudly, "His Majesty departs with his cavalry." When I left the city, Cao Cao had already assembled a great army waiting here. Cao Meng donned a golden armor. Riding the imperial horse Drupanandu, he was protected by Cao Wei's fierce generals in the center. Behind him, the great army's swords and spears were like a dense forest. Thorns covered the ground. A killing and battling aura struck me in the face. The ministers in the court were overwhelmed by the army's ferocious presence, each trembling like a cold cicada. My heart was like a clear mirror. Cao Cao led his elite army here to intimidate the officials and also to frighten this young emperor. I discovered that Liu Bei, who had previously talked of our uncle-nephew relationship, was also present. Standing to the left and right, the two generals had towering figures like tigers and bears. They kept their heads bowed, each holding a long black serpent spear. Seeing me looking over, these men also widened their eyes, curiously turning their heads. Such a fierce general must be the legendary fearsome Zhang Fei. The other had phoenix eyes, curved brows like silkworm caterpillars, holding the green dragon crescent blade. With such a conspicuous appearance, it must be the famous Lord Guan Yu. Unlike Zhang Fei's curiosity toward the emperor, Guan Yu only glanced at me with his peripheral vision, then immediately turned his head away. In Guan Yu's view, returning the emperor's gaze in front of others was disrespectful to the emperor. My third brother doesn't understand. I'll have to teach him more later. I could see the burning passion in these two generals' hearts. These two fierce generals must possess formidable skills and destinies. If I could add these two as friends, it would greatly aid my grand ambition. Cao Cao saluted me from his horse. "Your subject Cao Cao welcomes your majesty." The generals shouted in unison. "We subjects welcome your majesty." I raised my hand, replying, "The generals need not be so courteous. Chancellor, let us begin." "Your humble subject obeys," Cao Cao replied. He rode up to me and commanded the great army to advance, setting up an encircled hunting ground at Zushan. For this outing from the city, Cao Cao brought 100,000 great soldiers. All of them were his elite troops. The soldiers surrounded a hunting ground, 200 li in circumference, ensuring the absolute safety of the emperor and chancellor Cao Cao. Cao Cao had clearly made ample preparations for this hunt. Not a few attendants led precious falcons and hounds to follow. Just training these hunting dogs and falcons required no small expense of funds. Cao Cao rode the imperial horse Drupanandu, riding abreast with my white jade dragon colt. His warhorse would occasionally move ahead, surpassing me by a body length. According to propriety, Cao Cao's behavior could be considered a great insult. Yet no one dared say more. Behind the two of us were all of Cao Cao's close confidant generals. I could not name most of these people, but I believe among them were definitely many generals whose names will go down in history. I thought silently, "Generals, do not be impatient. You have unwittingly followed Cao Meng. One day I will surely rescue you all. Your Majesty seems preoccupied." I suddenly came back to my senses. No, not at all. I was just moved seeing the mighty soldiers of the great Han with such a formidable army, and the Chancellor, such a loyal minister assisting me. What is there to worry about determining the realm? Cao Cao looked straight into my eyes, trying to discern my innermost thoughts. But the result was bound to disappoint Cao Cao with the skill of concealing ambition. My gaze was always open and sincere. Perhaps His Majesty simply has an innocent heart. If he had been born in an era of peace, he might have become a fine emperor. What a pity! The Cao Cao of today has no desire to be a loyal minister. He only wants to control the emperor to command the lords and achieve his own ambition of dominance. Cao Cao thinks this way. It is only human nature. Cao Cao ordered the generals to line up, smiling at me, "Your Majesty, these are the fierce generals who never lose for the great Han. Who does your Majesty wish to see hunt first?" I only recognized Liu Bei, so I casually said, "Then let my imperial uncle go first." Liu Bei saluted. "Your subject Liu Bei obeys." Within Zushan, the most plentiful were wild rabbits. Liu Bei bent his bow and notched an arrow, shooting straight at a running rabbit. I laughed. Uncle truly has fine archery skills. Cao Cao gave a slight applause. I examined Cao Cao's subordinate generals. Each one was extraordinarily formidable. Among them was a young general of only 16 years old. Despite his tender age, he had a towering physique, with light yellow hair and beard, adding an aura of martial valor. I pointed at this general and said, "This young general's appearance is unusual. He must possess extraordinary skills. Let him demonstrate his swordsmanship for me." His stature was towering, his hair and beard a light yellow hue, adding an aura of martial valor to his presence. I pointed at this general and said, "This young commander has an appearance unlike others. He must possess extraordinary skills. Let him demonstrate his swordsmanship for me." Cao Cao smiled upon hearing this. This is young Cao Xing. Since your majesty has this refined interest, Cao Xing, come and display your swordsmanship for his majesty. "Yes, sir," the young general replied. It was the first time Cao Xing's name was called by the emperor, so he could not help feeling a bit nervous. A slight blush rose to his face. He spurred his horse forward, bow in hand. Facing forward, he wielded his sword and steel. When a gray rabbit emerged from the bushes, it fell at the sound. The generals of Cao's army let out a series of howls, but Cao Zhang's strength was clearly not limited to this. Another arrow shot out. It hit a leaping white rabbit. Then Cao Zhang drew his bow and knocked an arrow again. A white and brown rabbit fell at the sound. 3 successive swords struck and hit the wild rabbits. Cao Zhang's sword skills were clearly superior to Liu Bei's. What a fine young general! Truly a divine archer. I laughed heartily. The surrounding warriors joined in the laughter. Zhang Fei whispered to Guan Yu, "Brother, this young Cao is formidable. When he grows up, the Cao clan will likely have another fierce general." Guan Yu narrowed his phoenix eyes and said, "High talent at a young age does not necessarily mean becoming an unmatched hero." With his brothers here, what great warrior is worth mentioning? As people were praising Cao Zhang's archery, suddenly a large deer burst out from the thorny bushes. It came this way, with 3 colorful patterns on its coat. It was clearly a rare breed. When Cao Cao saw this 3-colored deer, the High Monk told me a divine deer descends. An auspicious omen for the Han. Your Majesty should shoot it. I took up my jeweled bow and drew my sword. I pondered whether Cao wanted me to grant him a pardon, or hoped I would embarrass myself in public, or perhaps both. Since I am no skilled archer, it is fortunate to foil Cao's scheme. I shot an arrow, but did not hit the 3-colored deer. Your Majesty's shot was so close, said Cao, who had been cheering me on. Why not try another arrow? I have the matchless Minister Cao. A mere deer is no need for me to act myself. I did not follow Cao's suggestion, but directly handed my jeweled bow to Cao. I quite like this deer, so have Cao capture it alive. Do not harm its life. Cao had wanted me to shoot the 3-colored deer myself, so he could shoot and kill it with my bow. He did not expect me to command him instead. Does the emperor really see himself as a loyal minister? Cao Cao did not think I was such a fool. But since I had ordered it, he had to obey. As your Majesty commands, Cao took the bow. He knocked a golden arrow and drew the bowstring taut. 1 arrow shot out, piercing the 3-colored deer's left leg. The 3-colored deer let out a sorrowful cry and collapsed to the ground. It was your Majesty's skilled arrow that struck the deer. What divine marksmanship! The officials cheered, seeing the arrow in the deer's leg, crying, "Long live your Majesty!" Thinking it was my arrow that hit the deer's body, they hailed me as divinely skilled. Long live your Majesty! Pushing past the cheering ministers, Cao Cao stepped in front of me, receiving their ceremonious bows while the arrow remained in the deer's leg. Cao waved to the ministers, accepting their praise. I thought to myself, this Cao Meng is truly arrogant. 2 steps before I rushed forward, pushing me behind him. Receiving grand ceremonies from the ministers, Cao Cao attained great satisfaction. He waved to the ministers in acknowledgement. I thought to myself, this brother Cao Meng is indeed arrogant, not regarding me at all. For now, I cannot reveal myself, as there are many loyal ministers present. They are extremely angered by Cao Cao's action of usurping the throne, especially Liu Bei's sworn brother Guan Yu. His pair of phoenix eyes suddenly opened wide, his green dragon crescent blade spinning in his hand. He was about to spur his horse forward to slay Cao Cao. Liu Bei understood his 2 brothers very well. Seeing Guan Yu's attitude, he knew exactly what he intended to do. He immediately grabbed Guan Yu's arm and shook his head to signal him. although he believed his second brother was invincible. Cao Cao had many men and was in a superior position. Those great generals like Su Chu, Shahu Dun, and Shahu Yuan were all glaring menacingly nearby. Not to mention Cao Cao had 100,000 troops present. If the three brothers made any rash move, they would certainly be cut into mincemeat. Cao Cao also noticed the commotion on Liu Bei's side. "Lord Zhuandi, how skilled are you in martial arts?" Liu Bei humbly replied. "Prime Minister is peerless, rarely matched in this world, although I cannot compare to the great generals of old." Ha ha ha! Cao Cao laughed heartily to receive such praise from Lord Zhuandi. "This minister is most honored. I dare not take the credit. It is all thanks to your majesties. Tremendous blessings. Bring the deer for his majesty." The tricolor deer, its legs crippled, had lost its mobility. It was carried to me by a few soldiers. I reined in my horse and dismounted nimbly. I gently stroked the deer's antlers. "Don't be afraid, I will not harm you." Perhaps it was Liu Zhuan's outstanding restraint technique. Even animals were affected by it. Reassured by my words, the tricolor deer calmed down and stopped struggling. It even stretched out to lick my palm. Seeing this, Liu Bei was utterly astonished. The ability to endear animals to oneself. He thought it was unique to him alone. How did His Majesty also possess such a benevolent nature? My cavalry commander Deng Cheng exclaimed. His Majesty loves all living beings. Truly a benevolent ruler. Long live your Majesty. The ministers echoed in unison. His Majesty is benevolent. Long live your Majesty. Cao Cao maintained a calm expression, but inwardly noted those who cheered long live. The man's name. It seems there are still quite a few subjects. From the imperial court and my own ministers, I must identify the loyal ones one by one. I went hunting with my civil and military ministers. Apart from 2 hares, the hunt yielded little else. I barely caught anything of value. But the other ministers reaped a bountiful harvest, having caught many deer, pheasants, and wild boars. Young General Cao Zhuang even hunted down a fierce tiger, eliciting loud cheers from Cao's soldiers. Cao Cao said to me, "Your Majesty, since the soldiers have caught so much game, why not hold a banquet in the snow to reward the army?" I nodded. I had the same thought. "Everything is up to you, Chancellor." Cao Cao left my side, ordering his civil and military officials to prepare the banquet. I finally had a rare moment of free time. I walked towards young General Cao Zhuang. 2 young men were gathered around him. One had a pale, slender face, bearing a 7/10 resemblance to Cao Cao, with a sharp and capable air about him. The other was stunningly handsome, elegant in appearance, with long flowing hair. Seeing me approach, the 3 bowed. "Cao Pai, Cao Zhang, Cao Zi, greet your Majesty." "Rise," I said. "Rise." Last year when Cao Cao campaigned in the west against Jiangsu, his son Cao Ing and nephew Cao Enman perished. Apart from Cao Ing, of Cao Cao's remaining sons, these 3 are undoubtedly the most talented. I smiled at them. I often hear the Chancellor speak of you. With your talents, you will surely become the pillars of the Han dynasty when you grow up. Especially you, Cao Zi. Your swordsmanship just now was an eye-opener for me. You have a rare, hidden talent. Cao Zhang's hostility and wariness towards me lessened greatly. He found my respect for the talented to be admirable. Cao Zhang was thrilled. Your subject enjoys martial arts. This small skill is nothing to speak of. I hunted down an old tiger just now. I wish to present the tiger skin to your Majesty, to add to your imperial might. Being young, Cao Zhang could not see the intrigue and political struggles at court. In his heart, his father Cao Cao was the Chancellor of Han, a loyal subject. And they, as his sons, would eventually serve His Majesty. Very good, I await your tiger skin, Zi. I patted Cao Zhang's shoulder and laughed. You must deliver the skin to the palace yourself. I wish to drink with you. Pleased by my praise, Cao Zhang was overjoyed. I was satisfied with his reaction. In my precarious position, with Cao Cao controlling court affairs, I could only try to win over anyone I might be able to sway to my side. Even Cao Cao's own sons. I turned to Cao Pai. I have long heard the Chancellor say, "You are talented in both letters and martial arts." Sharing his noble character, "You shall be my future pillar and support." It is none other than the son of Cao Zhuan. Do not mention it. Your Majesty is mistaken in your praise. This subject is ashamed and dares not accept it. Cao Pi's words were humble on the surface, but he was secretly on guard in his heart. This great Han Emperor was too enthusiastic towards him. With Cao Pi's cunning and shrewdness, and the position he held in Cao Cao's heart, he clearly saw the great ambition that Cao Cao was plotting. The court situation, Cao Pai observed cautiously. Yet this was not a puppet emperor, showing such favor towards him. There must be some scheme behind it, otherwise he would be a brainless fool. In either case, Cao Pai was unwilling to associate with him. Cao Pai took a subtle step back, expressionless. "I do not mind either," he said to Cao Zi beside him. "Prince Cao, your fame has reached the capital. Your talent and reputation are well known to me, the family of the late Emperor Xian. I have also had the honor of reading their works. In a few days, I will hold a banquet in the palace, and I invite you, along with a few renowned scholars from Luoyang, to grace the occasion. I wonder if Prince Cao would be willing to attend, unlike the excitement of Cao Zhuang or the suspicion of Cao Pai." Cao Zi smiled lightheartedly. "If there are famous scholars and wine, I will surely attend as promised. It would be even better if there were poems. Alas, in this great capital of poetry, those who can truly compose are few." I smiled at Cao Zi. "If Prince Cao attends as promised, I will not let Prince Cao down." Hearing this, Cao Zi's eyes lit up. "Your Majesty also composes poetry? Ha ha, I have some understanding. That is wonderful. This subject must engage your Majesty in the art of poetry, aided by the powerful divine skills." Except for the extremely cunning Cao Pai, Cao Zi and Cao Zhang had a rather positive impression of me. I exchanged a few more courtesies with them, then turned to greet the other ministers. After I left, Cao Pai narrowed his eyes and said to his two brothers, "Our emperor is not a simple man, I fear. You two had better not get too close to him." Hearing this, Cao Zhuang's face showed anger. "What do you mean, Cao Zhuan? We are all subjects of the emperor. How can we speak ill of the emperor behind his back?" Seeing that Cao Zhuang would not listen, seeing Cao Chang's disrespectful manner, Cao Pai silently cursed him a brute in his heart. Cao Cao greatly admired Cao Chang's martial valor, but was reluctant to involve him too much in court affairs. It should be. He wished to groom him as a purely military commander. Cao Pai left it at that. Unwilling to say more, Cao Zi shook his head and laughed. If His Majesty truly appreciated poetry and literature, he would indeed be a remarkable man. As for me, Cao Zijian, I only discuss the joys of life with His Majesty, nothing else. "Ha ha, that's good then," Cao Pai responded with a dry laugh. His gaze toward Cao Zi held a hint of apprehension. When their elder brother Cao Ing was alive, the brothers simply obeyed their eldest sibling's orders. Cao Cao's conquering ambition would certainly pass to the Cao Prince. They had no chance to meddle in it. But now, the situation was different. With the Cao Prince gone, the brothers seemed to all have a chance to inherit Cao Cao's great enterprise. The power Cao Cao grasped, Cao Pai was determined to seize. He did not believe Cao Zi could resist such temptation. Could Cao Zijian intend to follow the path of the Qin emperors? But considering Cao Cao's attitude toward him, Cao Pai put his mind at ease. How could his father tolerate bloodshed for long? Once his conquests were complete, Cao Cao would inevitably reap what he sowed. His tyranny, Cao Cao would see its consequences in the end. Cao Cao roasted lamb and beef, distributing the fine meats to his ministers, including the game from his recent hunt, prepared as delicacies. This included portions for Cao Chang, the fierce tiger from the hunt. In my 2 lifetimes, I had never tasted its meat before. Tiger meat is far inferior in flavor to beef or mutton. Venison, on the other hand, tasted remarkably fresh and delicious. I could not help but have more portions. Cao Cao had achieved his aim in organizing this hunting excursion. I thus returned to the palace. On the way back to the city, Guan Yu could not help but ask Liu Bei, "Brother, the traitor Cao flagrantly disrespected you today, blocking you from receiving the minister's reverence. Such a villain deserves to die. I wish to execute him to appease the realm. Brother Guanyu, why did you stop me? You cannot kill Cao Cao. Liu Bei shook his head. He said calmly, you and our younger brother are peerless warriors. But Cao Cao also commands many elite generals. Moreover, the emperor is by Cao Cao's side. If you rashly attack and harm the emperor, whether your assassination succeeds or not, we three brothers cannot leave Su alive. And stop flirting with disaster. I don't know if this old man can understand. I see. Your subject understands. Your Majesty, rest assured. I won't let you suffer for too long. Fuan, living long, took his leave. But in his heart, he thought of how the emperor first suffered under Dong Zhuo, then endured the torments of Li Ju. Now he has fallen into the hands of the treacherous Cao. At such a tender age, he has borne far too much undue suffering. His Majesty told me not to frequent the palace, wishing to protect me. Such heartfelt care moves one deeply, but as a subject to serve the ruler, with utmost loyalty is one's duty. How could one fear this treacherous villain? Only by gathering loyal and righteous ministers can one resist the treacherous Cao and rescue his Majesty. It seemed Fuan had an idea. His eyes regained their determined look. He hurried away. I appeased my pig teammate Fuan. I really felt a bit vexed. I pressed my temples with my hands. Sometimes the existence of a pig teammate is far more formidable than a powerful enemy. I feel that when facing Cao Cao. I wasn't even this annoyed. Not long after, Dong Gong, clad in a blue dress, her graceful figure entered the palace hall. Your humble servant greets you. Ah, my beloved consort. Beloved, please be seated by my side. Dong Gong's name was Dong Yu, the sister of General Dong Chong of the cavalry. She had a pretty, sweet oval face, with a hint of the charm of a southern beauty. When I first came to this world, I had marveled that even as a puppet emperor, I had two beauties accompanying me, far beyond what I could have in my previous life. The next day, after I had finished court, fulfilling my duties as the great Cao Cao, the eunuch Zhang Rang came forward to report, Your Majesty, Lord Cao's son Cao Zhang has come to seek an audience, saying he wishes to present a tiger's skin to you. Let him in. My eyes lit up. Quickly, hurry. No, wait, I shall go welcome Zifeng myself. I hurried out, with the eunuch Zhang Rang scurrying behind me. He found it rather strange in his heart. It was only one of Lord Cao's sons coming, yet your majesty attached such importance to it. I came to the palace gates and grabbed Cao Zhang's arm. Zifeng, I've been looking forward to your arrival, I said joyfully. Come with me. I took Cao Zhang's arm right away, making him somewhat flustered. Cao Zhang finally realized he should pay respects to me, but I stopped him. As for Zifeng, you're about my age, like an old friend. No need for formalities. Eunuch Zhang, I want to host a banquet for Zifeng. Prepare the best dishes and finest wines from the palace. Cao Zhang was still in a daze, and it took him a while to respond. Your humble servant has brought this tiger skin for your majesty. I took the tiger skin and gently stroked it with my hand. The tiger skin was soft and supple, clearly specially treated. Excellent. Zifeng, I am truly delighted today. Not just for this fine tiger skin, but for gaining a tiger general. Cao Zhang was both surprised and excited. Your majesty wishes to make me a general? Of course, Zifeng, you're a young hero. You will surely become a great general on the battlefield in the future. I am counting on you to lead my armies to unite the realm and vanquish the rebels from every corner. My discerning eye made Cao Zhang's admiration for me grow even greater. I continued, Zifeng, do you know who the strongest warrior of the Han was? Cao Zhang thought for a moment and answered, the strongest warrior of the Han must be General Huo Qubing, the cavalry vanguard. Huo Qubing repeatedly defeated the Xiongnu. The strongest general of the Han dynasty must be the cavalry general Huo Qubing. General Huo Qubing crushed the Xiongnu time and again. One man against the Mongolians. He subjugated the Wuhuan tribe, causing even the non-Yu king to admire him. He is the most revered man in my heart. I nodded inwardly in agreement. One could see that Cao Zhang had a simple nature, a pure warrior soul, completely unlike his elder brother Cao Pai. Moreover, Cao Zhang had no ambition to become a king. His sole desire was to become a great general renowned through the ages. Perhaps I could make use of him. What a good child! I admired Cao Zhang like a precious gem. If the Cao clan were all as easy to deceive as Cao Zhang, I would not have to live such a hard life. So you have lofty aspirations, young master. At this moment, a few graceful palace maids brought in fine wine and delicacies. I took the initiative to pour Cao Zhang a cup of wine. Cao Zhang was overwhelmed by my favor. In my view, the mightiest general of the Han is not Huo Qubing. Cao Zhang was taken aback by my words, puzzled that it was not Huo Qubing. Then who could it be? The grand general who instituted the dynasty, Han Xin? No! In my view, Chancellor Cao is the mightiest general of my great Han. I nodded in agreement with my father. Smiling at Cao Zhang, he said, since the Yellow Turban Rebellion, the realm of the great Han has been in turmoil. First there was Dong Zhuo's tyranny, then Li Ju's misrule. The feuding warlords battled endlessly, with countless seeking to become kings or emperors. Do you know who repeatedly vanquished the Yellow Turbans and rallied the lords to overthrow the traitor Dong Zhuo? Who was it that eliminated Li Ju for me and welcomed me back to the Imperial court at Zukong and who fought battles north and south, always victorious, securing the Central Plains for me? Could it be ... your father, the Chancellor? Correct, it was all the Chancellor's doing. I have long heard that in his youth the Chancellor wished to be a general conquering the West, but his current achievements far surpassed that youthful aspiration 100-fold. He is the peerless general, capable of conquering the world for me. Cao Cao was fired up hearing this. I continued, when I see this writing, it is as if I am seeing the Chancellor himself. You have inherited his martial prowess, a future great general of the Han. In time, you shall be my strong right arm, taking after my Chancellor. Together, Lord and vassal, we will subdue the realm. I await your command, your majesty. I had thoroughly beguiled Cao Cao. As a warrior, he was not skilled in expressing emotions with words. He simply grabbed a jug of wine from the table and drained it in one gulp. Seeing the atmosphere was right, I continued flattering Cao Cao, saying, "While the Chancellor assists me at court, yet surveying the talented youths of my great Han, the one who can share my worries is only you. Would you be willing to be my friend, and often come to the palace to keep me company?" With the Son of Heaven being so open with him, how could Cao Cao not respond? He loudly replied to me, "It would be my honor to be friends with your majesty. This subject would gladly stay overnight at company." Add friend? Request accepted. Congratulations, you have successfully added Cao Cao as a friend. Your current friendship level with Cao Cao is 61. You become fast friends. You can claim 3 rewards from your friend Cao Cao. Begin claiming rewards? Hearing the system prompt, I felt quite exhilarated. It's not easy, you know? After Liu Bei, I finally added another person. Deadweights like Fu and with their blackened marks are useless even if added as friends. Cao Cao is young yet highly skilled in martial arts, surely indicating exceptional talent. Begin claiming rewards. Congratulations, you have obtained a white skill, basic blade art, and a green skill, piercing formation sword art, and a green destiny dancer, which can be upgraded. These 2 skills, though one green and one white, are quite solid abilities. With these 2 skills, even if thrown into an army now, I would qualify as a proper soldier. After obtaining the dancer destiny, I instantly felt my physical qualities improve greatly. Previously on the hunt with Sushu, after riding a horse all day, my back and waist ached terribly. But now that fatigue is gone, I now have an urge to take up a blade and practice martial arts intensely for an hour. This upgradable green destiny seems even more precious to me than an ordinary blue destiny. If I can keep upgrading it, one day it could even become an orange or gold destiny. This Cao Cao is really impressive. Truly awesome. What great rewards. After obtaining 3 rewards, I became even more friendly toward Cao Cao. I raised my cup to drink with Cao Cao. After 3 rounds of wine, I said to Cao Cao, "Young master, your martial and literary talents are formidable. Quite envious. I too have long loved the martial arts. Would you be willing to teach me some combat techniques?" Of course, Cao Cao complied with my request. "Since your majesty wishes to learn martial arts, this subject will do his utmost to instruct you." "That's wonderful. Let's go to the grounds behind the palace to practice." I thanked Cao Cao, and we went to the practice grounds behind the palace halls. Cao Cao did not dare call me a recruit, but said, "Your majesty, this subject will teach you a boxing set." Cao Cao began performing the set meticulously in the grounds. This boxing set was quite simple and easy to understand, the basic form practiced by Han military officers when training. It was like military calisthenics of later eras with my original talents. Even with such a simple boxing set, my eyes understood but my hands did not, learning it in a confused manner. But after receiving the blessings of the martial destiny, my talent for martial arts far surpassed that of ordinary people. After going through it once, I had surprisingly learned around 70 or 80% of the boxing set Cao Cao taught me. This greatly surprised Cao Cao. He praised me, saying, "I didn't expect your majesty's martial talent to be so exceptional. If your majesty diligently cultivates martial arts, you will surely become a formidable general on the battlefield in the future." After speaking those words, Cao Cao realized he had misspoken. I am the Son of Heaven, the supreme ruler. How could I possibly take to the battlefield? Cao Cao hardly bowed to me. "Your majesty, This subject has committed the crime of improper speech. I supported Cao Zhang with my hand. You and I are close friends. How could I reprimand you harshly for a verbal misstep? Come, let us return and continue drinking wine. After a banquet of drinking, I had temporarily won over Cao Zhang. But I clearly understood that my indifference towards Cao Zhang would seem childishly laughable to Cao Cao. If Cao Cao does not interfere, Cao Zhang can continue associating with me. Otherwise, even if Cao Cao berates Cao Zhang would never dare enter the palace to see me again. After seeing off Cao Zhang, I thought to myself, my behavior these past days has been different from before. Cao the traitor may become suspicious. Now is not the time to turn against Cao the traitor. I must think of a way to keep Cao the traitor from doubting me.